Hey guys, Stanley game here. Today,
you know what? Even if you're trying to be sarcastic and
I'm gonna be since it has so many choices. In the comments below, you can write like what you want me to do. Like if you want me to obey him, I'll obey him. If you want me to disobey him, I'll disobey him. Like you can put patterns too, like obey, disobey, or obey, disobey, obey, something like that. But if you haven't guessed by now, this game is.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Okay guys, so that was the intro for this game, and hold on. Keyboard and mouse, my sensitivity, blah, blah, blah. So this game is a game of choice and it's self-narrated. So I'm going to be talking more or less narrator rather than you guys taking it. But it's more or less a game of choice and a bunch of different endings.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
So I'm basically going to be talking more or less there. And so you guys in the comments are going to decide what I do for you.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
You shut up. I'll do what I want to do. Okay, so you guys will choose what I do, and there's like thousands of different endings. So I may be ending this one, but I'm planning to do a lot of it. Okay. Hello. Shut you off. Just click every time. Click it all.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Do I want to enter the door on the left? Let me think about this. Let me put a quarter here. I was like, it was a dollar bill. Okay, so it landed on 20, and I had it on 20, so I go through the left. Oh. Okay, what you gonna do now, Mr. Narrator Man? You're gonna do something.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Oh, geez. Okay. You guys can read this on that one. Using slides to assure employees when everything is okay. Make sure your slide has a click blue graphic in the header. And throw some... Oh, I get it. You, most of all. I get it. Ha ha. Oh, and they're all the same. Number of slides on the slide. Number of slides on the slide. Slides, charts, and slides. What? Rate at which charts on the same slide take the same information. Okay, that's weird. I can't do this. Okay, so I can't jump.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, I go with no. I don't like upstairs. Ooh, man.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back. the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Hello, I'm recording.
I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay, guys, that was weird, but I guess that was okay, I'm gonna do one.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Shut up!
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Shut up!
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
No, I'm not going to admire it. I'm going to... Can I close it? No, I can't. I'm going to crouch and look the other way. And then walk into it and not admire it. You stupid narrator.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I'd rather not. Screw you, Mr. Narrator. Yeah, no, screw you. No, you know what? That was Stanley. I'll just go through here.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
No. Stupid narrator! You don't tell me. I tell myself what to do. Okay. So as you can see, guys, this game...
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
I don't want to go left. I want to go right. No, we gotta go left!
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake.
Oh, thank you. Thank
No, 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 not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Screw you. Seriously.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
This doesn't look dangerous. Click on everything. Oh, Jesus.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
No! No! Why?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Screw you. Okay, I'm all out of time for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and post what you want me to do next time in the comments. Bye-bye. Wait. Okay. Bye-bye.